Typhoon Matmo had been building quietly, far away in the vast Pacific, just another swirl of clouds on a weather map. But over days it gathered heat, strength, and speed, feeding on warm ocean waters and rising winds, until it turned into a force that would tear through homes, roads, and lives across Southeast Asia. Before China felt its rage, Matmo had already left its mark on the Philippines. It swept across Northern Luzon, soaking the land already cracked and weakened by an earlier earthquake. In the provinces, roads turned into rivers. Mountainsides slid into valleys. Around 35,000 people were forced to flee their homes, some to evacuation centers, others to relatives who lived away from flood zones. One person drowned trying to cross a swollen river. More than 220,000 were affected in total. Matmo didn't stop there. It moved northwest across the South China Sea, heading straight for the crowded coastlines of southern China. Meteorologists watched the storm tighten and strengthen. Satellite images showed its spiraling bands wrapping around a dense, angry core. Winds hit 151 kilometers per hour. The pressure dropped fast. By the time it neared China, the warnings were already blaring. Red alerts, the highest possible, flashed across television screens. Sirens wailed in Guangdong and Hainan. Local governments ordered mass evacuations. In total, around 347,000 people were moved out of harm's way. 197,000 in Hainan, 151,000 in Guangdong. It wasn't just homes being cleared. Businesses shut their doors. Schools suspended classes. Ferries and flights were canceled. The tropical resort of Hainan, usually filled with tourists during the National Day holiday, turned quiet. The airports went dark. The beaches deserted. Over 60 flights were canceled as the storm drew closer. It was the middle of China's 8-day Golden Week, a time when hundreds of millions travel, shop, and celebrate. This year, it turned into an exodus for survival. Then at around 2:50 in the afternoon on October 5th, Typhoon Matmo made landfall on the eastern coast of Sichuan County in Guangdong Province. The sky darkened. The air howled. Winds tore through villages at 150 kilometers per hour. Roofs peeled off like paper. Power lines cracked and sparked. The sea surged inland, swallowing coastal roads. In Zhanjiang, waves crashed over seawalls, sending salt water gushing into streets. In Dianbai district, the metal roof of a building ripped free and came crashing down under the storm's fury. The storm's eye swept across Guangdong, then moved westward into Guangxi, losing strength but spreading water everywhere it went. Meteorologists warned that rainfall could reach as high as 250 millimeters in some areas. And it did. Fields drowned. Rivers overflowed. Towns disappeared under brown floodwater. Even areas outside Matmo's direct path weren't spared. In Macau, classes and tutoring sessions were canceled. In Hong Kong, the storm's outer bands brought heavy rain and gusts strong enough to delay over 100 flights and cancel 29 more. By the time Matmo's center moved inland, the typhoon had already disrupted the lives of millions. The southern provinces, home to over 180 million people, faced massive blackouts, road closures, and evacuations. In Guangxi, popular tourist spots were shut down. Tens of thousands of visitors were escorted to safety. As Matmo weakened over land, it moved toward Vietnam and Yunnan. But even in its fading form, it carried danger. Vietnam's coastal provinces prepared early. Boats were recalled to harbor. Civil defense units went on alert. Rescue teams stood by. The country's meteorological service warned of floods and landslides once the storm arrived. But Matmo's story didn't begin with the chaos. It began quietly, almost unnoticed. Back on September 29th, meteorologists first spotted a low-pressure area north of Yap in Micronesia. It was just a cluster of clouds then, turning slowly over the ocean. But by October 1st, it had grown into a tropical depression. The Philippines Weather Bureau named it Paolo, and the Japan Meteorological Agency called it Matmo. That same day, the Joint Typhoon Warning Center raised a formation alert. Within hours, it became a tropical storm. On October 2nd, it strengthened again. By the next day, it was classified as a severe tropical storm. And on October 3rd, just before hitting the Philippines, it became a typhoon. Satellite images showed a tight eye wall forming, a sign of a powerful storm. It made landfall over Isabela in northern Luzon, with deep churning convection and feeder bands wrapping across the island. Winds and rain hit hard. By the time it crossed into the West Philippine Sea, it briefly weakened, but soon regained strength over warm waters. On October 4th, Matmo reached its peak intensity, a Category 2 equivalent storm with winds of 165 kilometers per hour and a central pressure of 968 hectopascals. The next day, it charged toward China. Hong Kong's observatory issued multiple storm signals. The city saw its 12th signal number, one of the year, a record-breaking season. Later, it raised signal number 3, warning of strong winds and heavy rain. But Matmo stayed slightly west, sparing Hong Kong from a direct hit. Macau followed suit. Its meteorological bureau raised signal number 8, the second highest warning, then watched as wind and rain lashed the city's harbor. Later, the warnings eased as the typhoon passed. Across the sea, however, Guangdong braced for impact. The storm tore across the coastline, flattening structures and flooding low-lying towns. Expressways were closed. Ferries stopped running. Even the Mid-Autumn Festival celebrations were postponed. The province went silent, waiting for the wind to pass. When it was finally over, Matmo left behind more than wreckage. It left stories. In the Philippines, 1 life lost, thousands displaced, hundreds of homes damaged. In China, nearly 500,000 evacuated, roads gone, flights canceled, cities soaked. The storm had crossed nations, moving from Yap to Luzon to Guangdong to Vietnam, carving its path through the map like a scar. By October 6th, Matmo had weakened into a tropical storm as it entered Vietnam's northern regions. The Joint Typhoon Warning Center issued its final advisory. What remained of the storm would fade over land, releasing its last bursts of rain before dissolving into the sky. In the end, it wasn't just about the storm's power. It was about timing. It came during holidays, during celebrations, when millions were out traveling. It turned joy into fear. That's all for today. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more clear and calm reports on extreme weather events. Hit the bell icon so you never miss an update. Please note that some footage in this video is for illustrative purposes and may not depict the exact events described. Thank you for watching and stay safe.